Polygyny Alliance. South Africa joins Burundi in matrimonial collaboration with DRC to combat M23 in eastern Congo. South African troops deployed to DRC to counter M23 rebels. Hundreds of South African soldiers have recently landed in eastern Congo as part of the Southern African Development Community's SADC military deployment to combat M23 rebels. Reports indicate that over 200 South African soldiers arrived at Goma Airport in North Kivu on December 27, 2023. In a pivotal meeting held in Luanda, Angola, in August 2023, SADC leaders, including Angolan President João Manuel Goncalves Lourenço, DRC's Felix Tshisekedi, Malawian leader Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, and Mozambique's Felipe Jacinto Nyusi, approved the deployment of a military force in eastern Congo to restore peace and stability. Other leaders present included South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, Zambian leader Hakainde Hichilema, Zimbabwe's Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, and Namibia's Dr. Hage Gottfried Geingob, expressing great concern over the unstable security situation in eastern DRC. The leaders condemned the resurgence of conflicts and activities of armed groups, IAGs, specifically addressing the re-emergence of M23 rebels in the region. The deployed forces from South Africa will collaborate with the DRC Army, FARDC, and its allies, including the Burundian Army, WAZALENDO, mercenaries, and FDLR, a group of genocidaires responsible for the 1994 genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda and ongoing attacks against innocent Congolese Tutsi civilians. Critics argue that South Africa's collaboration with the DRC government, accused of committing genocide against Congolese Kinyarwanda speakers, is a shameful alliance. They highlight South Africa's historical role in harboring and supporting genocidaires since 1994, providing shelter, sustenance, and support to those responsible for the massacre of over 1 million Tutsi in Rwanda. In a video featuring insights from MWALIMU Julius Nyerere, former resident of Tanzania, Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, and Thabo Mbeki, former president of South Africa, the root cause of insecurity in eastern DRC is discussed, along with recommendations for addressing the issue. The video questions the decision of South Africa, under President Cyril Ramaphosa, to collaborate with genocidaires, raising concerns about the adherence to past recommendations from respected leaders. The plea is made for reconsideration, urging reflection on whether the current approach aligns with the wisdom imparted by predecessors MBEKI and MANDELA. Listen to the following video and spread it to Ramaphosa and Ndayishimiye to stop their support for genocidaire government.
What was happening? With the genuine refugees, you had the Interahamwe, the militia that had participated in the genocide, and the former army of the Rwanda government. They did not want the refugees to go back. They wanted them in Zaire. They prevented them from going to Zaire.
What you are having there is an army which has killed no less than 1 million people in that country. That is just across the border, which is being armed by certain countries now, preparing to return to Rwanda to commit those massacres again.
The origin of the problem is in the eastern Congo of this conflict. It comes from the Mobutu years, when the Mobutu regime refused to recognize the Rwandan-speaking population of the eastern Congo as Congolese. And so long as the central authority in Kinshasa does not regard some of the people in the east as Congolese, so long will the conflict continue. It's not external, it's internal. That problem has to be solved by the government of the Congo. It's critical. The Congolese government must take responsibility to say we are Congolese together.
Zaire was using the presence of the Rwandese refugees to destabilize Rwanda. Kingdom of Rwanda was partitioned between the Germans and the Belgians. And the Belgians took a part of the kingdom of Rwanda, the traditional kingdom of Rwanda. with the people. So when we say respect that border, which was agreed between the Germans and the Belgians, we must also be saying respect the people whom you received under that partition. You can't turn around and say, we no longer want you. You are no longer citizens of our country. What are you going to do? Are you going to return them alone, or you return them with the piece of land? You can't say go home. Home where? We couldn't in Tanzania get fed up with the Maasai and say the Maasai go home to Kenya. Kenya is not their home. These are Maasai of Tanzania.
We are fighting for our survival. Since 1994, the genocide in Rwanda, all those armed Hutu rebels who committed the genocide in Rwanda came in Congo. We saw that those rebels from Rwanda are now, since 4 or 5, 6 years, allied to the government of Kinshasa. They are armed, rearmed, resupplied by the government, our government. So since 1994, they are in Eastern Congo, killing, raping, robbing, and you see. Then our people is living in displaced camp and in refugee camp. A foreigner coming in your country, you receive him like a refugee. Then he take arms against you and against your people. It's not acceptable that he cannot give our land to foreigners. Now our families are living in refugee camp in Rwanda. As I can tell you, Tutsi cannot be back when FDLR Interahamwe are here, because for them a Tutsi is their enemy. So my family in Rwanda, many families, internal families, are in displaced camp. For us now, we are not fighting the government, but we are fighting a problem, a threat. First of all, they must stop to supply them. Second, there is a way to resolve that problem. If FDLR, those who arm the Hutu, are not ready to be back to Rwanda, they must still be in Congo, but with a status of refugees. And a refugee cannot be armed.
The government will determine our next move. If it wants war, we're ready to fight. If they want to talk, we're okay with that too.